Our pilot for our next journey beyond the stars to a galaxy far, far away, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, has been making quite a few headlines recently. Everything after her CNN New Year's Eve special spotlight, where she went on and made, all of those initial claims, and then everybody went back and found a bunch of very interesting interviews that she has given throughout the years, has really raised a few eyebrows. Not so much if the daily goings on and current day Disney Lucasfilm. She seems like the perfect candidate. I guess they looked at her resume, the one that is provided by, the World Economic Forum. If you're in the know on that one, you're gonna see that's a big old red flag, but then simultaneously, like I said before, all of it makes a total sense. So for as many people that have critiqued, and as a lot of the people that are out there that just want to go ahead and try to paint everybody with the same broad brush. Oh, you don't like her just because she's a female. Oh, you just hate women. You're just a misogynist. No. What about this? I'm going to read through this. Okay, what about this screams? We need her to direct a new Star Wars film. We need her to go ahead and save Star Wars. I'm going to give you a little bit of a spoiler. None of it. None of it at all whatsoever. And for all those idiots that are out there, okay, and absolute brainlets that are out there, her comments about wanting to make men feel uncomfortable, those were actually taken out of context because she was referring to the men that she was highlighting in all of her documentaries. Okay, cool. Why would that? Why would those documentaries? And why would her saying something so blanket and generalized like that? I like to make men feel uncomfortable. Why wouldn't you phrase it in the way that? Why wouldn't you want to make those criminals, those violent men feel uncomfortable? She picked her words as well, as you guys like to selectively edit clips in order to make people that are critical of these stupid decisions look absurd. Who can play at that game? But also reconcile that she was making those same comments at a specifically female empowered conference. What was it? The Women in the World conference with Jon Stewart hosting the panel where he was doing his best impression. I'm sure that's probably just the way that he lives his life as the capitulating beta male that he has perfected in a post-Daily Show world. But beyond that, okay, all of these scholars, all of these white knights want to put the cape on for Sharmeen out here. They're not out here for the truth. They're not out here for a better Star Wars film, and I'm not even like a big Star Wars fan like that. I've seen the first 6, the only 6 Star Wars movies, haven't seen any of the ancillary content, haven't watched any of the Star Wars holiday specials, okay, didn't watch the Clone Wars or anything like that. I watched the episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, like them all well enough and good enough, okay, probably Empire's probably the best. The one that I've seen the most is Attack of the Clones and Return of the Jedi. Revenge of the Sith is pretty cool. The original, I understand why it spurns such a huge fan base, and then also made Star Wars the biggest cinematic franchise in all of history. And The Phantom Menace, I remember that. Like, that was one of the first viral marketing campaigns that I ever remember. You could not escape the hype surrounding that film when it was coming out in 1999. My best friend lived across the street from me, and him and his dad, they were big Star Wars fans, and they had all of the marketing everywhere. Every comic book that you'd buy had an insert for for episode 1. Actually, the first CD that I ever got, it was Weird Al's, was it MTV or something like that? Whatever one came out in on and around that time, where he did the American Pie cover. Instead of singing, my, this American Pie, it was, bye bye, this here Anakin guy is a force of nature at the time. You could not escape Star Wars as somebody who lived through it and then also was growing up during the time of the prequels. That stuff was everywhere, and thanks to stupid red letter media's revisionist history where, actually nobody really liked the prequels when they were coming out. There was so much hype at the time, okay? So take your unfunny cutaway gags and go stick them up your box. Speaking of boxes, we're talking about Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy and her resume out here. That just, obviously, when this came across Kathleen Kennedy's desk, she thought, this lady is adequately lame. Just go check and see if she's gay. Bachelor's degree, Smith College. 2 master's degrees, Stanford University. Okay, cool. I don't really care about your education. She's a woman, after all. Why does it even matter? The only woman director to have been awarded 2 Academy Awards by the age of 37. What an arbitrary qualifier. Oh, the first female to ever get 2 Academy Awards by the age of 30. You just pulled that number out of a hat. Come on now. And the first female director for a Star Wars film. Well, not the first one announced. That was Patty Jenkins. And she did a much better job of accepting the role until she had that snatched away from her. Like so many other people. Hey, Rian Johnson, how's that trilogy coming along? Taika Waititi, that's like the sixth thing that he has right now. Is like, yeah, I'll eventually get around to it when I can. Imagine being afforded an entry into the once great Star Wars IP and then just going, I'll get around to it when I get around to it. Unbelievable. Dan and Dave, the guys who ruined Game of Thrones, they're also supposed to have something out there. How many other people failed projects at Star Wars? I mean, it's a career graveyard at this point. They just decided to pick the most insufferable of the group, and that's pretty deep water at this point. Patty Jenkins, before she went all nutso with in a post of Wonder Woman 1984 landscape, was supposed to be doing Star Wars Rogue Squadron. It would have been like a fighter pilot intergalactic starship movie. It could have been really cool, and she seemed really passionate about the job because her dad was a United States fighter pilot. Like, all of that stuff was really cool. She was really complimentary about the opportunity to be able to do that, juxtaposed with it's about time that we finally have a woman in charge of Star Wars. Unbelievable. Like, you have to be stupid to not understand the female influence in Star Wars and how important both sides working together was in making this the biggest cinematic franchise in history. But no, just go ahead and once again rewrite history. Don't worry about it. Since 2001, has made over 24 multi-award winning films in over 16 countries. All documentaries, though. Films include Student Athlete, Girl in the River, Song of Lahore, Saving Face, Peacekeepers, and Transgenders Pakistan Open Secret. What the Okay. 2017, first artist to co-chair the World Economic Forum annual meeting. Fantastic stuff. See why she got earmarked for this job? Recipients of honors and awards, including named to the annual list of 100 most influential people in the world. Oh, really? Never heard of you before, but glad you made it on the list. Time magazine in 2012 awarded highest civil honor Hilal-e-Imazat, sure, by the Pakistani government in 2012. Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medal, Canadian government for a work in the field of documentary films in 2013. Crystal Award, World Economic Forum. I'm sure that's not demonic. Knight International Journalism Award, International Center for Journalists for work that led to legislative change in 2017, and an honorary degree in fine arts from Smith College in 2018. Okay, so she hasn't really done much in the past 5 years except for really cringy interviews online, but hey, in the words of Will Ferrell, who is also making waves right at the end of the year, making some very, very goofy-ass comments. Will Ferrell has created a lot of controversy over his online speech, where he said, "Isn't it just time for women to run the planet?" Well, let's go ahead and let Will spill out his nonsense for 34 seconds, shall we?
Forget about the entertainment world. Isn't it just time? Isn't it just time for women to run the planet? I mean...
Yeah, but why though? Just for the fact that they're women?
I'm not just trying to placate you, I swear.
I'm sure it's just a room full of women as well, and that's exactly what you're trying to do. Remember when Will Ferrell used to be funny? I never thought he was, but people did.
But I don't know what else to do because we, men...
Yeah, what's this we stuff, okay? We're definitely a different species of male when it comes to this, okay? You know, you're whatever you are with your T levels down there in the subterranean levels, but okay, you go ahead and you try to speak for men.
We've been running the show since, what, 10,000 BC? Something.
Yeah, what's with all these lights and, like tables and chairs and security? It's been so terrible with men in charge, right?
Like that. And we're not doing so good. So
the world, okay, for as many follies as there is right now, we've never been in a better time than it is right now. Like, let's keep it a buck.
Please, can you guys just take over?
Yeah, but why though? Because, okay, have you ever met a woman? Have you ever seen how they interact amongst one another? How two-faced they are in general? We're just talking in generalities here. Of course. They're great individual women. We've yet to talk about them in this specific video, but no. They'll present themselves forthright, to one individual, face-to-face in a conversation. Oh, isn't she a great person? But then at the end of the day, just end up back-talking them and being catty when the opportunity presents itself. But yeah, no, men just need to give up all that power. I talked about this the last time. Now we talked about Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. These people are the products of their environment. These people are around weak individuals and seem to project that onto the rest of the world, when in actuality, if they would just simply get down from their ivory towers, they'd be able to experience a much different, much more complementary world. And somebody who did that exceptionally well and articulated it very well is Sadia Khan. Sadia Khan is a psychologist. She has several large social media platforms, like 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, and then also another big TikTok following as well. And she sat down with Star Wars Theory. Star Wars Theory is a huge Star Wars YouTuber online, okay? Outside of the official Star Wars account on YouTube, there's nobody bigger that's out there. I've known about him for a while. I think that pretty much everybody has, if you follow some sort of pop culture entertainment, especially when it comes to Star Wars. Like, he's just going to end up popping up along the way. But most recently, thanks to his collaborations with Mahler, I've listened to more of what he has to say and, definitely found an appreciation for him. He's definitely at not so much a career crossroads in so much as a personal crossroads, where he's just finally getting out of the confines of being stuck praising and trying to find the good in what's going on in Star Wars, and then just simply being authentic. Not to just say that he hasn't been authentic before, but he's definitely branching out in different directions, talking with other people, and then just coming to different, more authentic points of view. And it's something that I do appreciate. This specific conversation was happening on his Theory Talks channel, where he is a multifaceted individual, has a bunch of different hobbies and interests that are out there, and something that he talks about quite a bit on that channel is, of course, psychology, human nature, relationships. And it's like, okay, very interesting stuff. I haven't listened to a bunch of it, but I've seen some of the videos that are on there, and I started to listen to this interview because I thought it was going to be interesting. I seen it promoted, and it just ended up popping up on my timeline. And it's like, I think I've seen her before. I know that she was on Mike Thurston's podcast, because she's out there in Dubai. She's talking with all of those other influencers that are out there, as much as I hate that term, but that's the appropriate way to phrase it and all that stuff. And Mike Thurston's a very good interviewer. So yeah, I've seen her on that before. So she does have some credibility behind it. And when I seen this clip was towards the end of the interview, well, just had to talk about it like so many other people out there have as well, like just on Twitter itself. And I'm not entirely sure about the episode, but this clip specifically, a lot of people are picking it up. As you can see, it almost has 250,000 views in just a couple of days' time. And towards the end of their conversation, and went on for about an hour or so, he was asking her, as they were discussing human nature, her opinion on this new ideologically driven director for the new Star Wars offering. I asked psychologist and relationship expert Sadia Khan what she thought about the whole Star Wars situation with Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy saying it's time for a woman to shape Star Wars. I also asked her thoughts of the blatant outcry from soy boys who think it's perfectly acceptable to demean majority of us who think it's ridiculous. So here's what she has to say about it. And yeah, before we watch the clip, all 4 minutes of it, because I think it's really good, and she's very articulate and very much so expertly expresses her opinion on this without having too much information behind it, but does a damn good job diagnosing it because, well, she's damn good at her job. You see all of these goofs that are down there. Oh my God. Okay, and this is another reason why I absolutely despise the Game of Thrones online community. You got somebody that's right up there. Okay, instead of just listening to the clip, instead of just, taking away from the substance of the conversation, that, yeah, people that are trying to push their own agenda probably aren't the best for a subject. Okay, no, dude out here doesn't realize the manosphere content is being phased out. Ferrell, Fresh of Ferrollo, etc. Oh, two of them that got demonetized, and another one that's doing just as well as he ever has beforehand. But it's also just the way that that's phrased, or the way that that's framed to begin with. Instead of just somebody who's having a conversation and discussing issues that he thinks is, important or at least interesting. No. He's out here just trying to grift off of subject matter that's going to get you yeeted off of these platforms. Yeah, that's a very interesting take that you have there, you fucking idiot. Goddamn fucking Game of Thrones creators are all fucking filled with soy and bunch of fuckers. Anyways, Star Wars theory. This is like, come on now. He's coming along. He's coming along, okay? And as somebody who talks about breakups as much as him, you should probably just go ahead and, delve into the red pill just a little bit further than that, and then just simple, oh my god, it's just female hatred. No. It'd be wise to just get a little bit of a refresher course on that stuff. But the amount of hate that this guy gets, holy shit, bro. Like, this is fucking tough. He just goes out here and he asks the question about ideologically possessed people, and so you have you give a misogynistic expert to back you up. She's a psychologist and she was spitting some hot facts, okay? So, no. Because she wants to be critical of women, she's internalized her misogyny. Is that what we're going with? I disagree about the women don't watch Star Wars bit, but everything else is spot on. Just people not understanding context. Lamau. I literally have a clip of Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy saying that she loves to play the damsel in distress when it benefits her. I had that in my previous video as well. Please feel free to go back and check that out. Holy shit, Sadia Khan is 100% right. Hey, good on you. There are some smart people that are out there. Bay, she's fantastic. Matthew Marsden, okay, certainly on the side of the fan base, or a certain side of the fan base aren't gonna like this. Yeah, and that would be the people trying to simply push a message over the health of the IP, the franchise, and entertainment in general. Let's watch this clip, because I found it to be incredibly interesting, very insightful ideas that you can use well beyond the scope of Star Wars in this specific issue. But let's take a look.
I see. Okay. And the final question I have, and it's going to be a Star Wars question. So
okay, go ahead. I've never seen Star Wars in my life. But,
no, it relates to what we're so.
Yeah, okay, so she's never seen Star Wars in her life, okay? It really doesn't have much to do with this, okay? And then, Theory is just going to end up setting the stage for who this chick's going to be, and then laid out his question.
Once Disney took over Star Wars, they started to change the whole infrastructure around and really, kind of dog the men and focus on the women a lot, in the sense where there wasn't much training and this and that. There's a new director for one of the Star Wars movies, and she says it's about time that a woman come in and shape the Star Wars movies and galaxy, and it's causing a huge uproar on the internet. So many people are saying this is ridiculous. We've had women in Star Wars galaxy before, and other people are saying, well, people's egos that are having a problem with this are very fragile, and their masculinity is fragile.
Well, no, it's just, people that want to go ahead and push a narrative over simply what's there. Is every single entertainment medium has had to deal with this stuff for going on a decade at this point in time. This is honestly a very 2014, 2015, 2016 talking point to the likes of Anita Sarkeesian type feminism crap that was cringe at the time, but way too many people were going, well, actually, maybe there should be some more women that are involved in this one. It's like, no, how are there some people that were actually talented that actually care about an IP? Come on in.
What's your overall consensus when a female director wants to come in and reshape something and say, it's plant that flag that, hey, I'm a woman, and hear me roar, here is my way of making this sort of franchise, which is already established, now something that's feminine dominant or female dominant, whatever it might be, instead of just a good story.
Okay, yeah, so he's just asking. Okay, cool. So she wants to come in with this whole feminist agenda, feminist narrative on top of it. She wants to intrinsically change that. What's the thought process behind this?
I think what happens particularly in Western cultures where women have it so easy, but they pretend they know. What happens with women who generally have it quite easy, they enjoy victimhood because that's the only way that they can feel part of other people's struggle.
Very, very true. Very, very true, but you can also apply that to feminized men as well, and that's she's talking in generalities. Like, this is towards the end of the conversation. They already have a client patient relationship that was established well before this. So, hey man, they just have some banter here as well. So yeah, there's going to be some context it's going to be missing. And then, like you've seen with some of those idiots that are down there, they're just going to totally miss that. And it's like, when you understand, when you listen to enough high-level conversations, you understand that. But yeah, she's correct. It's a feminine way of thinking, but continue.
What makes human beings feel alive is when they're a bit struggling, when they're going through something, where they've gone through a bit of trauma, they've gone through something, it makes them feel alive. What's happened with women in the Western world particularly is because there is no real oppression, but they want to be a victim so bad because victimhood is just a way of kind of shortcutting sympathy. Everyone it's just shortcut entitlement. You get what you want without having to earn it because you just happen to be a victim.
So does that kind of make a lot of sense as to why there were so many black squares on Instagram during a certain summer of love? Start to make a little bit more sense. It's like, I don't really have to do anything, but then I can get all of those virtue signaling credits applied to my running tally. I can be a part of the downtrodden. We can go ahead and accomplish something without having to accomplish anything.
So what happens is they want to start finding places where they can be a victim and then transform it so that they can become a hero. So what they'll do is say, oh, we need more women in this particular sport. Nobody watches them. Nobody wants women in there, but they'll just stamp their authority so they can be a local hero.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, we need to have access to this. It's that old meme, okay, where it's like, okay, cool. I want to come in and I want to join your club. And I was like, yeah, no, cool, as long as everything's fine. It's like, no, you need to start changing a couple of these things. It's like, no, the club's fine the way that it is. Why do you hate insert protected class right here? Sorry, what? That's why for, at least, a lot of people have finally caught up to this. Gatekeep what you love. Okay, there's a reason that you have locks on your doors at your house, because you're not just going to let everybody in. Okay, you need to be very selective with how you live your life and how you engage with your hobbies.
We need more women in Star Wars. No, we don't. No one. Women don't even watch Star Wars. They don't even care about it. It's a man's little thing. Let them have it. But they.
No, yeah, exactly. You just take a look. It's like, okay, the guys that are going down, they're buying all of those old EU books. Okay. Kind of gave away the premise to begin with, but do you see any chicks that are going down there? And if you do, are they vastly outweighed, okay, by a proportion of 10, 15, 20 to 1? I've been to game conventions. I've been to comic conventions. I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, male to female ratio is probably within the, margins of error. And yeah, the chicks that like Star Wars for what it used to be. They don't like it for the potential of maybe becoming a feminist narrative delivery mechanism. No. That's different. But no, that's what everybody's going to run with. Oh, no women watch Star Wars. Well, I know a woman who likes Star Wars. It's like, yeah, if you actually did, you wouldn't need to point it out because you'd know it to be true.
You want to be like, oh, there's such a deprivation. We got to be in it so they can be a mini hero. When you don't have anything outside of your gender as a way of being proud of yourself, you use your gender as a shortcut for entitlement and heroic stances.
Oh. See what I said? That you can go ahead and apply this wisdom to so many other things? Yep.
So I would just say, unfortunately, it is the norm in Western cultures to kind of over-identify with your gender and then over-identify with victimhood. It's a way of getting a shortcut to being a hero. Yeah. And as a result, it's just there to design. And also what it does is keeps the power in the hands of the women. And whenever you redirect power entirely to women, just like if it was entirely to men, it creates an unhealthy society.
Yeah, exactly. It's like men and women are better together than they are apart. It's complementary for the sexes to work together. It's not supposed to be this adversarial issue. And that's what, to be completely honest, that's what feminism brought into everything, where it's men are superfluous. Women can do anything that a man can do, plus they can do it in heels. And then when they can't, goddamn patriarchy has got us again. It's like, no, maybe you're just not designed to achieve at certain things the same way a man is designed to achieve at things, vice versa. And if people would properly understand red pill, that's exactly what you talk about, because you understand the red pill is designed, especially in the context of male and female relationships, it is designed to show you what women are, so you're Not to be mad at them. Never to be mad at a woman, because a woman's going to be a woman because women are women. It's that so you're not mad at what they're never going to be to you. But as slow as people were coming around to this reality that, yeah, you know what? Some things are just best left alone, and that you need to defend your hobbies, they'll start to slowly come around to all of these truths that have been out there for a long time anyways. But continue.
If the power is totally in men's hands, it would be unhealthy. If it's totally in women's hands, it's also unhealthy. But what we're doing is, I remember like in an environment, I did a talk and it was a mainly Gen Z, a very young generation. I couldn't believe how feminine the men were.
I talked about this a lot, and also made reference to it earlier in the video as well. When we were talking about Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, when she was talking, I think it was at the WEF conference or something like that, where I made the note that she really does surround herself with some weak ass dudes that are out there, and Sadia is about to really underscore that for a second. Where it's like, yeah, of course. Why do you think that so many women hate so many men in today's day and age? It's because they're surrounded by guys that aren't really worthy of your respect. And then when you start to think that every guy is going to be like that because you are met on a day-to-day basis with 95% of those guys that just live in fear, that just cower at the sight of a woman, that they're simply scared because of the power that women wield that are unchecked by society, where a simple accusation can go ahead and ruin a man's life. Yes, of course, when you have that picture painted towards you, the opposite gender, of course, it makes total sense why these guys are starting to outwardly manifest their bitched up nature. Their masculinity is withering away and dying because, well, if you're grown up from the time that you get into school, where an 85% chance that your teacher's going to be a female throughout all of grade school, and then heading into high school, it's like a 65-70% chance that it's going to be women. And 60% of kids nowadays are born to single mother households. So these boys that are growing up have no strong male role models, and that the male role models that they have in life are either being painted as borderline abusers, bumbling idiots, or non-existent in general. So yeah, they don't have those strong positive masculine role models because society has kind of driven them out. It's sad, but it's also reality.
Everybody looked androgynous. I couldn't believe, and I just you would just take the normal 18-year-old boy, would have been considered as a really feminine man years and years ago. They would have seen him as like super feminine, or they would have just assumed he's a homosexual. In this day and age, that's just how the men are come. So they've lost the masculinity. Yeah, and so what's happening is the culture is creating the very men women will not desire in the future. By doing this, you're going to create a bunch of men that you will no longer be sexually attracted to. And as a result, you'll be more miserable in the long run.
Well, Sadia, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the end of the clip. Feel free. Like I said, I'm probably going to go back and listen to the entire interview, because it started off pretty good. Okay, not going to lie. And then, hearing this clip a couple of different times over really gives me a firm grasp that, this chick knows exactly what she's talking about, because it reflects the world the way that I perceive it, and the people that I listen to and respect also purported to be as well. And the men are weak and bitched up and decide to, instead of take responsibility upon themselves, they just want to pawn it off, thinking that they'll just be a good little subservient men, that they'll just go ahead and make up for all of the failings of their Neanderthalic ancestors by just simply putting women on a pedestal, not realizing that they don't want to be there. They might think that they want to be there until they end up getting there. This is what we're getting. We're getting that first or second generation, where you're having broken households raising the next generation of broken households being raised by broken households. And you can all point back to a very special part of the 20th century with the advent of a certain reproductive technology. Really threw a spanner into the works, but that's another topic for another time. This right here, this is just all about how Star Wars is definitely fucked in the long term, but as of right now, people are starting to identify the problems, and well, it's a better starting point than anyone else is proffering. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.